Alright, as promised, there was a tie-in game to the Bourne identity called officially Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Conspiracy. This is apparently a bit more akin to the book, which is based on, made by High Moon Studios and published by Sierra and Vivendi. So,
hey, High Moon! It's nice to see you before Activision did what they did.
The same makers of most of the Transformers games and the Deadpool video game. Also THX. Okay.
The audience is now deaf.
Except for Mame Simpson. Apparently, they wanted to actually have Matt Damon reprising his role as the main character, but get this. He didn't wanted the game to be an FPS. He was offered a lot of money for the role, but he refused because he believed that a game like the Bourne Identity should fit more a point-and-click game kind of like Myst.
Okay. I was gonna agree with him if he said, like, third-person action sort of game.
No, this is what it is. He didn't wanted the game to be like this.
Wait, hold on. But you said he didn't want it to be an FPS, not a third-person.
He didn't want it to be in the game because the game it was a shooter. In his own words, he didn't really like it. The direction he was taking. He did suggest the developers to try something different again, kind of like a point and click. But when they said no, he was promptly replaced with Jeffrey Pierce, which doesn't really even try to sound like Matt Damon in this game.
To be fair, considering the design for Bourne in this game is completely different, I guess that was the point.
All right, so again, plot-wise, this takes place as sequences that take place before the events of the movie and during it. So things are a bit scrambled, kind of like Beyond Two Souls in a way. But in a slightly more coherent way, in the sense that we do follow the events of a movie, but Bourne will have these flashbacks while he's recovering his memories, where that lead to how we got, to the start of the movie. So it's not even like immediate stress.
It's quite sad that they didn't follow Matt's advice, considering, Sierra's publishing the game, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm. This was right before the acquisition with Activision, meaning that they own this at the moment. It was released only for PS3 and Xbox 360, so no PC port, unfortunately.
Hi, my name is Jason Bourne. You're probably wondering where I got this extensive surgery.
Bourne 15073.
Your cover is blown. Wambosi's leaving port in his...
So yeah, if you recall, in the movie, the mission that costed, Jason Bourne's identity, ironically enough, was him killing I think it was like a senator, basically a politician, Wambosi.
Just a headache.
So take an aspirin and get moving. Radio wants you in position.
Yes, sir.
Subtle.
Well, the camera work is as cut heavy as the Bourne movies.
What kind of game is this? Also, that running cycle.
Kill him before he kills
So a third-person shooter?
It's got the camera.
Sorta.
It's got the camera cuts dead on.
It's sort of it will involve shooting as well, but again, this game is slightly ambitious. It does showcase how I wanted to create something with a bit more meat than just a generic tie-in game, and I commend that, to be honest. But again, you'll be able to see for yourself properly. You have this mini-map. You don't really get chances to walk around the environment with nothing, too going on. Also, MasterCard tie-in publicity. What?
Of course.
Never leave the embassy without it.
My card is a MasterCard card. They're talking about me.
What console did this come out?
PS3 and Xbox 360.
And this is based off the first one.
Yes, the first movie came out in June 2008.
It reminds me of
fairly late.
All right, it also divided in these particular fighting sequences. This one just has a fancy camera angle for it, don't worry about it. They work kinda sorta like a mix between Uncharted and Batman Arkham Asylum. And that's a crude approximation.
Well,
not as fleshed out, I assume.
Ouch. Your alpha meter was the green bar on the top, on the bottom right, obviously.
Do what you have to.
But regardless of the difficulty, you can actually get it depleted really fast if you don't know what you're doing. The time, much like with a lot of good beat 'em up, the timing in pairing and counter-attacking is very important. But you will see.
So I'm guessing you mean something like
Also, we just beat this guy. It's a literally identical model.
brilliant. Oh my god, it's the quiet man. No.
It's like the Quiet Man. But here's the thing that makes it cool. You can do this Yakuza-style takedown after a certain part of a meter gets filled in.
Wow, this actually does look like the opening of Uncharted 3.
Okay. Tio. Are you sure you're not cutting away bits and pieces of it? Because the cuts from cutscene to gameplay are really abrupt.
The closest I'm doing is trimming away the loading screens, but nothing more than that.
No, some games have this problem though. It's a common thing, but
I mean, like I said earlier, to be fair, it does feel like since you said this is before the events of the first movie. Technically, this does feel like something early Doug Lyman would
No sign
direct.
of Connor.
Also, let me also mention this.
Time is
Hold on.
running out. You need to find
Yeah,
him.
basically your first mission is to find this contact that may lead you to Wombosi. Oh, it's called O'Connor, of course. Let me also explain a bit more. The takedowns, when you press with the circle button, insta-kill an enemy, unless it's a boss fight, of course, and actually refill you a bit of health, kind of like in Rise of Rome, actually. You're encouraged to actually take advantage of that. What's the point in filling more than one slot in maybe all three of them? Of course it's got a gun. Well, actually, we're talking about
okay.
At
Yes.
least it's not a monkey with a gun.
Okay, now that pause was just like weird.
Yeah, it was a freezing bit. Sorry, that the game just froze. There you go. You can perform a takedown up to 3 enemies. If you have the whole bar filled, once you perform the takedown, if you press the QTs correctly, Jason Bourne will basically just insta-kill all enemies on screen. Again, it's kind of like a prototype of a multiple takedown from Batman Arkham Knight.
Interesting.
Yeah, if he goes into a heat mode, I'm gonna scream.
Yeah.
Gotta love the ragdoll.
Also, did you get your MasterCard today?
Of
Right,
course.
yeah.
Never leave the home without it.
It reminds me of and keep in mind this was back when he was at the peak of his critical acclaim before the Village.
Oops.
Found him.
Wow, you're incredibly quick to have dodged that.
There are a lot of QTs in this game. Again, some of them are the classic. You die if you don't press the
It's a
button
shame.
at the right time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a
But
shame.
they're actually
Sorry.
merciful in the timing. They're not nowhere near as dickish as the Bayonetta one.
It's a shame there's no PC version because I'm noticing some screen tearing here and there. No,
So it's another guy with the same model.
Look,
yeah,
look, Teo,
out somewhere.
look, Teo. We only had money for 4 models.
2008.
Look, Teo, we only had money for 4 character models. Okay, so
This is why the PS3 version doesn't have trophies. It was done right before it didn't.
What happened? What happened with the negotiations with Matt Damon taking up this much development time?
I wonder.
Okay. This is a tie-in game that came out the same time as the movie, right?
No, actually, no. It came out a year after the most recent Bourne movie at the time.
It was done as a sort of a mini celebration, of the first movie, but it was kind of done, around the time it was wrapping up.
Yeah, it came
In
out.
that case-
It came out a year after the Bourne Ultimatum.
In that case, I guess we can chalk it up to lack of budget because Hyman Studios are not a slacker company.
And again, this was before the Vivendi Sierra was acquired by, Activision, so they even had less kind of a budget to do things.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
that's a sad thing. Even though they got a higher budget when bought by Activision, stuff would overall become worse.
As lampshaded in the Deadpool video game. There are multiple jokes about how we don't have enough time budget for the explosion. But anyway, let me also talk about this. Despite everything, the takedown animations are surprisingly a lot. We invested a lot of time in actually making a lot of different ones, depending on where you are in a room. Bourne will grab an object or smash an enemy into it. Like, there was a point, keep in mind this is a blind playthrough, there was a point where I saw like there was a copy machine and I was like, oh please, tell me that if I perform a takedown, Bourne just smashes the enemy into it, and he did.
Nice.
That's where a lot of the budget went.
Oh, please tell me knock him out. Please tell me knock him out.
That's if I recall correctly, that's the stage transition.
Anyway, I'm guessing this is probably where a lot of the budget went. Like,
Probably.
yeah, lack of
probably.
some moves aside, it's less noticeable here and also more excusable given what era of gaming this was made in as well as the circumstances around it, as opposed to Quiet Man, which is just lazy.
Yeah,
I can also tell you that this is much more fun to play compared to the Quiet Man. But watch out, because the bosses can also do the takedowns. So in that case, you need to be receptive and, not fail a QTE that's coming to you at the moment.
I dig it. It's a fun gameplay style, but one that, warns you away from getting complacent.
What was the name of that indie game that just released on PS5?
Sifu.
Shifu. Sifu,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what.
The one that filtered everyone.
Speaking of complacency, that's how I feel about Bourne. Well, like the Bourne movies after the initial trilogy came out. There was Bourne Legacy, a Jason Bourne movie without Jason Bourne in it,
Brilliant.
and
Jason Bourne,
Bourne,
2016.
which did have Jason Bourne in it, but Paul Greengrass somehow managed to fuck up his own style.
It was only good for one meme. The guy who turns and said, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne, and that's great.
I remember that from the trailer.
And also it demonstrates one thing. People can be very good in their field, but sometimes when they try and branch out of it, it doesn't quite work out, because you know who co-wrote Jason Bourne? The
Matt
film's
Damon.
editor.
Oh.
Brilliant.
And that was his first script, along with Paul Greengrass, and it shows.
That billboard from earlier reminds me.
Which is also ironic because the editing in that film is terrible.
Yep. That billboard from
Like
earlier.
the movie itself is pretty terrible.
Well,
Alright,
It's not-
let's steal a
it's not-
condor.
It's not terrible per se, it's just really, really dull.
Check in.
Connor's dead.
I'm pulling the plug. It's too risky. Cops are everywhere. When Bosie will know something's up,
I'm going to complete my mission.
how?
I'll go
I
through the
barely even know
docks.
what your mission is.
You're gonna need it.
Remember, it's the initial one that got costed him all his life, kill one bossy.
Alright, so
That's what we'll do actually, well, at least start to do in the next part. See ya.
see ya.
So yeah.